I think people who generally have drive and discipline, marijuana gives them a break. It gives them a nice little, just a little rest stop. And I think that's probably beneficial. It's hard for some people like yourself that did grow up in an environment like that to ever reach where you're at right now, just a place of peace. And if you can do that through marijuana or whatever it is, like, we should be happy that you can get there. That's what we want. The smoke weed thing is a weird one because it's like many things. It's completely dependent upon the individual, like their individual genetics, their biology, whatever it is that they've had in their past. I know people that smoke marijuana and they're high functioning, and I know people that smoke marijuana and they don't get anything done. And I don't know if they're related. Those two things are related. I think people who generally have drive and discipline, marijuana gives them a break. It gives them a nice little, just a little rest stop. And I think that's probably beneficial. And I also think it makes you a little kinder, a little more compassionate, a little more sensitive, which is probably very beneficial to someone who's hyper-focused. Like people that are like type A personalities and trying to get things done all the time. You smoke a little pot and you're like, what am I doing? Like, let's fucking relax a little. When did you start like regularly smoking weed?
Since I was like 10 years old.
The whole time you were fighting, you were regularly smoking weed?
Well, you know, when you're a kid, your mother gives you liquor and marijuana for you, make you think that you're going to go to sleep or something, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That never happened in my house.
Never, yeah. My mother was alcoholic and stuff.
Damn, that's harsh. Liquor and marijuana, see if you go to sleep.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
I don't think so.
I
don't think so.
Do you, what benefits do you get out of marijuana? Like, what does it do for you?
Hey, man, if I didn't, I'd have a bad day. Yeah, I'm a really moody guy without it. And it just smooths me out. As soon as I take it, I'm a whole different person. I'm really on top of my game. I'm balling.
Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes. It makes me nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, calms me down. Do you smoke?
And I like who I am when I smoke. You know what I mean? When I weed, I don't sometimes like who I am sometimes. That's just the real sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like that guy. I want to get away from that guy.
That's super powerful. We had the nerd in me wants to say, in neuroscience, they call that interoception. Like people vary tremendously in their awareness of their internal state. You can know if you have a high or low degree of interoception by trying to count your heartbeats without taking your pulse. Some people can just do that. It's a skill you can build up over time. This is great for some people, but some people who are highly anxious, it sucks to have a lot of interoception. But we know, of course, that the mind-muscle connection is really powerful. And it's not just mind-muscle connection as a, whatever they call bro science thing. The reality is that from peer-reviewed studies, that if people focus on the contraction of a muscle during resistance training as opposed to moving the weight, right, something that's hard to measure if they're actually doing it, the strength and hypertrophy gains are much greater. I think it's like a 15%. I had Andy Galpin on the podcast, and he would know the exact number. But I always wonder about this, like in gyms where there are mirrors and people are watching themselves lift in the mirror. I mean, you're exterocepting. You're not focused as much as you could on the actual feeling. So, you know, there's always a weighting between exteroception to the everything beyond the confines of your skin and interoception. And if cannabis allows more interoception, you can imagine that those workouts would be more effective in that way.
I think we are though discussing overall mental health.
Yes.
I mean, look, I'm saying this because I really think that this is something that I've made a big turn over the last few years with myself. That I don't
take a quick
think,
bathroom break.
Yeah, please go.
Sure.
I don't think marijuana is as safe as I used to think it is. I used to think it was benign. I really used to think there was no big deal. But I have a friend that I discussed the other day who is a really confident, fucking muscular, handsome man that never did anything, and he took a marijuana edible to go to sleep. And for 2 weeks, this guy was. This is a different guy, not the guy I was talking about. Not Rafi. No, a different guy. He took it and he experienced suicidal thoughts and all these. He had like severe consequences. I think that the human beings, we vary so much biologically that to just make this overall blanket statement, what's good for you is good for me, is irresponsible. And I've been irresponsible saying that. It's hard for some people like yourself that did grow up in an environment like that to ever reach where you're at right now, just a place of peace. And if you can do that through marijuana or whatever it is, yoga, meditation, whatever you do to get there, like, we should be happy that you can get there. That's what we want.
Listen, I am so grateful that I embarked on this. You know, I've never been a person to this at this magnitude, at this kind of relaxation, or just enjoying my time with you. I was very uptight, and I was very uncomfortable with myself.
Did you feel any better after you worked out when you were young like that?
Absolutely, but my works out. You know what? The best thing that ever happened to me that I retired from boxing, because of me working out and me getting, I was so intense with this. My whole objective was hurting people and wanting to be the best, and my ego took over, and I'm like Tyson, I'm the best to ever live, and all this bullshit. And dealing with my partner Rob Hickman, I happened to embark on this, come across this thing called the Toad. Are you familiar with the Toad?
Yeah, what you're talking about is 5-methoxy-dimethyltryptamine.
Oh, that's it right there, yeah.
Yeah.
And I came across that, and I smoked this, I don't know, this medicine, drug, whatever you want to call it and stuff. And I've never been the same. I look at life different. I look at people differently. And the experience I can't even express, really. It's almost like dying and being reborn.
There's definitely that, but it's also the focus thing, that you're only thinking about that. Like, while you're rolling, you're really only thinking about rolling. While you're smoking cannabis and then rolling, you're hyper-focused on it.
You know, cannabis is interesting, and it may actually have some therapeutic potential, but the main effect of cannabis is to narrow attention and focus. It actually can increase attention and focus. Now, the problem is it's not a very good filter, so people can narrowly attend to just video games or just to their anxiety if they're already anxious. That's a problem. And physical strength, you feel fine. You don't feel lethargic or anything.
No,
like
not
that.
at all. I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoy it when I lift weights too.
Oh, haven't tried that one.
Yeah, I feel it. Like, I feel it in the fibers. It's almost like I'm more aware of like what's going on, instead of like this blunt sort of almost like distance from each individual muscle fiber, which I am normally. Normally, I'm just trying to warm up, and then I warm up, and then I start getting going, and then I, lift light first, and then I work my way up to what I normally use. But when I'm high, it's like I could feel like where it connects to the bone. I feel everything. It just makes you more sensitive about what you're actually doing. And for martial arts techniques, particularly for striking, I feel like I incorporate leverage better into things. I have better balance in terms of like not trying to execute a technique when I'm off position, and it just makes me just more aware of like what's going on with my body.